Sit!
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
And now we're back to another duo show.
Did you see me just scoot a little closer?
I did. I just smell you.
Gotta get in here.
I got a whiff of that. I know what's going on.
It's
over
just
there.
me and you today.
What kind of deodorant you wearing?
I mean, it's Old Spice.
Oh, I wear Old Spice as well.
Yeah.
Look at us. Armpit to armpit. Symbiotic.
That seems weird, but all right.
Yeah, that would be kind of weird.
Pure sport for me. I don't know what you got. I got pure sport.
Pure sport and two.
All right.
Uh-huh.
All right, I guess we could go armpit to armpit. No big deal.
Do you do the liquid gel thingy, like where it's white when you put up, or do you use like the blue stuff that's like a...
No, I do the soft solid.
Soft solid. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah.
Forever, too. Like, I don't even remember last time I used a different deodorant. It's been a long time.
So, ironically enough, I just had to get just the solid stick of it the other day because they were all out.
Oh,
and
dude.
I was completely out of deodorant. Yeah. And then I went to my local drugstore that I will not name. And
you sons of bitches.
They were out of them. So I'm scrounging all around, making sure all the, looking up and down all the shelves. And all they had was the solid. So I actually have a stick of solid as kind of my backup now.
I've had a stick of solid for like 18 months because it's my backup as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever go through it. Whenever the soft gel comes back, I put the cap back on. I'm like, see you when I need you.
As soon as the other ones came from Target, which is where I ordered the replacements from, that thing just went. That thing's going to be on the shelf now, just like you.
24 hours.
Yep.
So it's just us back here today. Garrett is at camp. And then I think next week all three of us will be here. Then I'm away. Because I'm going on vacation. Dynasty Hot Boy Summer. Everybody's going to go out of town.
I think me and you might be on the same schedule on that. My wife planned something kind of...
The week from the 18th to something?
It's in the 20s, so maybe it's... Me and you might not see each other for a few weeks then, after next week. Because I think mine's maybe the next week then.
That'd be the late 20s then?
Yeah.
Because we come back that week of the 20s. Because the 18th is Saturday.
You know what? I think it is like... we're going on a shorter one. So I think we might be going at the same time.
Okay.
20th, maybe 20th through the 25th or something like that.
Sounds like a Garrett problem.
Yeah, it does sound like it. Sorry, G.
So today we are talking about players like prove it years, right? Like this is the year that we're like, and for me, I'm going to say this: like my guys aren't more to like about can they be out of the NFL or no value whatsoever. Mine's like where their current ADP is. Like
right.
I think these are guys. I've been talking about how I think the 27 classes have come in and shake things up drastically for Dynasty because it's such in a weird spot right now with like, it's so middling. Like there's a lot of middling players in Dynasty right now. There's only a few elite guys.
Sure, of course.
Where it usually gets jucky at ADP.
And we should get an influx of those high profile guys coming in the 27 class. And unlike you, I think I looked at it and we kind of leave these things a little bit open-ended to maybe even have some conversations like this. I ended up getting some guys that were kind of like, hey, these guys used to be high profile. Are they going to be around? You know what I mean? Are they going to have any value after this year?
Yeah, minor ADP drops, yours are deceased.
Right. So we'll get into it a little bit here. Not all my guys are like that, but that is generally how I looked at it. And I think maybe the last guy will be my best example, so we'll save him for last.
Okay. All right, my first guy is some of these guys are pretty clear in day. Like it's pretty chalky, you can call it, but we're just going to talk about it anyways. It's Marvin Harrison Jr., right?
Yeah, of course.
This was a guy before ever taking an NFL snap. Marv came in and just was unlike most rookies you see coming in from ADP by standpoint. He came in, he was drafted as a consensus top 5 Dynasty receiver before ever taking an NFL snap. He was wide receiver 30 as a rookie in 2024. Decent.
Yep.
Not elite. And then 2025, he fell to wide receiver 49. He only caught 41 passes for 608 yards, 4 touchdowns across just 12 games. He ended the year on IR with a foot injury. Some could say he lost his wide receiver 1 pedigree to Michael Wilson. He currently sits as wide receiver 18 overall in Dynasty ADP. Again, sitting on kind of pedigree alone, right?
Yep.
So the market still believes in him. And I still believe in Marv, too. I still think he has a good chance. And 26 kind of feels like that year where, like, Marvin Harrison's going to really define his dynasty value. Michael Wilson could potentially be a real problem out there. He had really good chemistry with Jacoby Brissett.
He did. Yep.
Who's coming back, and he should be the starter. Trey McBride consumes a massive amount of targets share. He's like pretty much the centerpiece of that offense. And the passing volume could actually decline in 2026 as well with the addition of Jeremiah Love getting drafted where he did. So, with Marv, it's interesting because all the pedigree is there. It doesn't seem like everything has really worked. When you look at it in 2025, weeks 1 through 13, Marv was wide receiver 28 in points per game. If you look over the last 5 games where he was healthy, he actually averaged about 12.8 points per game in PPR, which put him at like a low-end wide receiver 1. So we looked like a little bit of a comeback there. New head coach, Michael LaFleur, arrives from the Rams. He has that reputation of a creative offense and design. And for right now, we're looking at 2 disappointing seasons of a guy who took extremely high with a potentially capped target ceiling with the offense that he's in. So with this production here, this is a chance where like I don't see like a middling ground, right? Like if he doesn't finish the year healthy, if he finishes as wide receiver, anywhere in the 20s, like people are just going to move on and say, I can do better than this.
Right. And I think the good news about Marvin Harrison Jr. is obviously Kyler Murray is gone. Right. I do feel like him and Kyler did not connect well. And Jacoby Brissett, I think his ability to kind of see down the field better and maybe even throw to a guy that's not completely open, served Marvin Harrison Jr. a little bit better than a guy like Kyler Murray did. So hopefully this season, Jacoby Brissett, is making a stink right now, even about getting into camp and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully he gets in, and that stuff is all kind of, they give him whatever little bump in salary that he needs to feel good about himself being the starter this year. And he gets in, and they can really use the rest of the offseason to build the chemistry necessary to get Marvin Harrison kind of going this year. So that's what also kind of stinks is I feel like he's kind of had some false starts throughout his career. And we see this all the time. And it's really unfortunate when it happens to a player like him, such a high-profile guy, because you can see these guys kind of just fall off and just never get the traction that they really need to get their NFL career going. I mean, I don't think that's Marvin Harrison. I do think he's talented enough and has the pedigree, with his dad being an NFL player as well at the position, Hall of Fame player at the position in the NFL, that I do think he'll be able to get it going. And hopefully it's just a matter of kind of resetting this season with a new coaching staff, getting a full year with Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback, and kind of let everything else fall behind him. Leave it in the rearview mirror, so to speak.
Yeah, and there's things to worry about. Can Jacoby Brissett come to common ground with Arizona? At what point does he get benched potentially for a guy like Carson Bech just to see what they have? Then we're looking at a situation where, like, you got the new coaching staff, you got a little bit of Jacoby, you got a little bit of Carson. Then they draft a guy because it all falls apart anyways, real high. Then he's got a rookie quarterback he's got to deal with, unless they can move up really high. But he's got the Jets to deal with, who's got multiple first-round picks. They got the Browns to deal with, who's got multiple first-round picks that are likely to be quarterbacks as well. So they get the best guy. It could be potentially not even talent. It could just be a bumpy road for Marv when you got a guy like Trey McBride on the roster.
So with all that said, what to you constitutes a good season for Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Just a wide receiver 1. Like
anything short of wide receiver 1, and you think maybe the ADP drops, or
dependent. Again, I got to see how everything around him goes as well. Right. I would say a good season for Marv. Let's refrain that. Seeing the guy hasn't even been a wide receiver 2 yet.
Sure.
Let's start with top 18. Right.
That's what I was thinking. 20, 18, somewhere right around there.
I need for his pedigree, because again, outside of like top wide receiver 18, which would be mid-range wide receiver 2, like. I find I could replace you for value. I can go trade for Zay Flowers for a much discounted rate. And I think, but again, I think that's where like I'm talking about like the prove it era. Like I think Marv is going to drop in AD pretty significantly because we're going to be looking at the wide receivers that do step up this year, right? The other 24 wide receivers that do step up, the rookie receivers this year, the rebounds of some of these guys like Malik Neighbors. And then with the influx of these first round receivers coming out in 2027, like, then where does Marv end up? Like, at what point in every startup, it'd be kind of like, it'd be different from startup to trade value, because in a startup, you just like, oh, dude, like this late as my wide receiver 3, Marvin Harrison, like, give me 2 years. I still got 2 more years I can wait. completely different than trade value when you're going to try and trade him. Like, what are you going to get? And that's what I'm more talking to. Not like startup, of course, I would still gamble on Marv. But if you're going to trade for Marv, some people are still going to have that like hope of like, dude, I need some value, still some upside there. And it's like, well, dude, I'm taking all the risk here. You know, like,
Absolutely. What
are you going to get for him? You're going to get an older player at that time, like the guys who are entering maybe at like end of 2027. You're talking about guys like, hey, I'll give you Justin Jefferson, but I need Marv plus. You know what I mean?
Of
Like
course,
things
yeah.
along those lines.
Marv
Or like
plus a lot.
Or Zay Flowers. If Zay Flowers is a high-end wide receiver again or a mid-range wide receiver too, like a swap. And then you're changing Marv for Zay, which most people are going to kind of want to ride out. Some people will abandon ship. So it is kind of one of those weird situations where you're going to be stuck with a player. And again, I still believe in a player, and I still believe in a player potentially even after this year when they actually do solidify their quarterback overall.
That was going to be my point is like, I mean, to me, he could fall short of that wide receiver one kind of range and still succeed eventually. You know, still have a path to be a good player. I want to see him bounce back from that. Like he had 800 something yards in his rookie season. It went way down last year. If he gets back to that 950 yard range and scores a decent amount of touchdowns, I'm okay with that, considering what you laid out there with Jacoby Brissett, probably at some point getting a taste of Carson Bech to see what that situation looks like, so they know if they need to go out and get a quarterback next year. So I think there's a path for him, even if he doesn't like crush and become like wide receiver 18, wide receiver 15, something crazy like that, and which would be a monumental kind of
I want to
shift.
see a little bit of progress because that would remind me of, and I always go back in situations. There's a player that I did believe in a lot, and going back in 2014 is when I actually made a big move for this player, and you'll probably remember at the time. I can even kind of remember the trade I made, but Andre Johnson,
Andre Johnson
for the Texans,
that's
right?
What I
thought. Early in his career, like he started off real slow. Now, obviously, not 2014. I'm sorry, in 2003. Like he started off with 976, had an okay sophomore campaign with 1,142, then 688 yards. Then he had 1,100 yards. Then he had 850 yards. Obviously, that was an injury season.
Sure.
But then it was like that boom, boom, 1,500, 1,500, 1,200 injury, 1,600, 1,400 kind of yard. Like he was a slow. Because of the situation around him too, being paired up with Carr and everything.
Right.
It took a while for him to acclimate. So, a little worried about the ADP. I don't, even though I'm confident, I really think it's a 50-50 situation with everything that's around him and how the offense goes.
Yeah.
And I think it's even more about like, I want to see the production he gets and how he looks. Right, I want to see the drop rates. I want to see the target share. I want to see how he fits in the offense.
Very uncharacteristic hands issues. I feel like Marvin Harrison has over his first couple seasons, where that stuff just really did not show up, and it makes me feel like he's not comfortable with something. You know what I mean? He's thinking about other things rather than just catching the ball.
And it was weird with it. Remember, it was like his whole rookie jersey thing. Like they couldn't sell his jersey for a while because he was the only player because of the NFLPA. They wouldn't agree on like the money and stuff. So things have been weird about like what's going on mentally with Marv for a while now. And like I said before, like I just hope like it's one of those situations where like, his dad was a Hall of Famer. He's been around the game forever. And he's just naturally really good at it. Obviously, his brother just committed to Ohio State, Jet Harrison too, another awesome receiver. Like, you just hope that his mindset is there. Like, he's not just doing this because he's genetically gifted to do it.
Sure.
He's around it. And, like, he's been around the game so long, like, he's just disinterested. Like, I just want to do something else, man. Like, I want to be a poet.
Yeah, let's hope he does not want to be a poet, and he is able to kind of pull everything together this year.
So who are you looking at?
All right. So for me, somebody else from this exact same draft class, first pick in the second round, Keon Coleman. So haven't seen a ton of production out of this guy.
I thought he was deceased.
Yes, I mean if you look at the depth chart, it is DJ Moore, probably Josh Palmer ahead of him. Khalil Shakir is obviously starting there in the slot. But I do think this is one of those defining seasons for a player that was taken early enough in that second round that there were some expectations on this guy. And obviously the production just has not met that. He had 38 receptions, 404 yards, and 4 touchdowns his rookie year. He was good. That was good for a 60th overall finish. And then last year, or no, I'm sorry, that was last year's numbers. The year before that, his rookie season, he was 71st overall. He had 29 receptions, 556 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So he improved the receptions. He reduced his amount of yards last year and really got in the doghouse with the coaching staff. So this is one of those things where, Sean McDermott leaving might be a good thing, even though it's still the same offensive coaching staff. So who knows what doghouse he was actually in for his antics last year. I guess we'll see. There has been some scuttlebutt about Keon Coleman reaching out to former Bills wide receiver Stevie Johnson, and he's kind of taking him under his wing this season. And Stevie Johnson even mentioned, hey, this guy was a lot different than I thought he was going to be. He does want to learn how to do things. He wants to know how to be a mature NFL player and stuff like that. The stuff that you didn't really hear the first couple of seasons in the NFL. So while I'm not a huge Keon Coleman guy, I do think this is one of those seasons where if he does not emerge and become the second target here in this passing attack, not from the wide receiver position, I think there's, obviously the running back there. I mean, James Cook is there. Khalil Shakir is going to get targets, and DJ Moore is obviously going to be the number one target from the wide receiver position. And not to mention your boo, Dalton Kincaid's there. So
who's also a very prove it kind of year player too. I refuse to slander my love. But he could easily be on this list of somebody who's on a massive prove it year, right? If we don't see it this year, he falls in the wayside of just another tight end.
Yep.
Right. And with Keon Coleman, I actually consider him already a lost dynasty commodity. I feel like he's not even really worth ranking. Kind of falls in that Gabe Davis category for me. It's where it's another Buffalo receiver. But his draft pedigree, obviously 33rd overall. They trade out in the first round to take a guy like Keon Coleman,
right?
And there is a big opening to kind of be just that Z receiver potentially, or even the X he could be in Buffalo. So,
and it's not like DJ Moore is a spring chicken, right? So if he shows something this year, he could be viewed as, hey, all right, he showed us enough this year. He gets maybe 800-900 yards, something similar to what I was talking about with Marv. Maybe they look to, all right, let's extend this guy for a couple of years and keep him around and see what he turns into.
Yeah, I'm not very optimistic, and obviously we definitely did the show from two different perspectives, because yours is prove it, or you're you have no value whatsoever. Almost yours is okay, you're on the bottom of my dynasty roster. I can't, and those are the worst players to have, right? Because you can't cut them,
right?
You don't cut them because what if this happens? He's still in the right situation, kind of ooh, Gabe Davis just signed this big deal in Jacksonville. What if he pans out in Jacksonville?
Didn't.
Whoops-a-daisy, Jax.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Why way to waste that money? And what history shows us is usually those players never come to fruition.
Agreed, but what's the difference between a Keon Coleman and a Marvin Harrison?
Right now?
Yeah. We haven't seen it really from either one of those guys, and they've both largely been a disappointment.
Marv, the last 5 games was a wide receiver one almost.
We liked Marv much more than we liked Keon Coleman. So, I think that, it's almost like a baseline. Obviously, we've seen a little bit more. So it's this, he started off at a higher place, Marv did, than Keon Coleman. And then he showed a little bit more than Keon Coleman, but not leaps and bounds more, where one guy is still afloat, obviously from a dynasty perspective, and the other guy is largely left behind, which is understandable, but I think there's still a chance.
Is
all I'm saying.
So somebody's dude,
there's a chance.
I gotta promote this guy off my taxi squad.
Yeah.
But I don't want him. I'm gonna trade him for the highest bid.
Yeah.
What is the most you'd give up for King? A 4th round pick?
I was gonna say a third, but
you give up a 27th third for Keon Coleman? Because, man, do I wish I had some Coleman shares if that was the case.
What have you've looked at 3rd round draft pick hit rate, right?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yeah.
I think I would give a third. Maybe a 28 third. How about that? Would that make you feel any better? Because you may be able to recoup it. All right.
I would take it for sure. I think I would give up if I needed. I don't even think I'd want to give up a 4th, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, and then last year I gave up maybe a 5th round pick for Parker.
There's no way
Parker Washington. So no, I probably would not.
There's no way you're going to a 3rd round
probably
pick.
Probably a 4th at the most.
2056 for Keon Coleman.
I'm trying to think of it. I'm trying to think back to some of the trades I made. I wouldn't. I would nickel and dime that thing down.
Yeah, I think
to at least a fourth.
I think he's literally, unless you're like a Keon, like you're just like, because even then like a fourth, I'd be like, dude, I think with like that draft class, how deep it is or anywhere, like I'd rather just gamble on the fourth.
Hope for a tight end that slipped or something like
that.
Yeah,
so you know what I mean? Like there's always tight ends that slips or.
I would do a fourth. I would do a fourth.
I would. I don't think I would.
Okay.
I think a 5th round pick, and that's me like needing a receiver.
That's like me wanting to stack with Josh Allen.
Yeah. And maybe like I would, then he's like, dude, I can't do a 5th. I'm like, I'll give you 2 5ths. Kind of equals a 4th. And if you don't take that, like, dude, good luck with the dumpster fire. All right. Let's go. Let's completely go on to the hundreds of spots.
Flip it.
Hundreds of spots higher in ADP. Right. I'm going to go Jayden Daniels. Another player that I truly believe in.
Yes.
I like it. And he's kind of a nuanced player, right? Because his regression didn't come from what he's done on the field. It's just for injuries, right?
Yeah,
and what he was kind of thought of. This was a guy who was going number 1 overall after his rookie season and Superflex startup season. So he's one of the great, dual threat players in the NFL. He's got a beautiful arm, and he can run the ball as well. His 37 total touchdowns and 5,416 yards, including the playoffs, were the most by a rookie in NFL history.
And those are some magic endings to those games as well.
Yes,
he was a very exciting player.
So, he had a sprained knee, the hamstring, dislocated left elbow, just limited to 7 games overall. And he's fallen right now down in Dynasty to that back of the first, top of the second in those Superflex leagues. So when you look at him, it's just about availability, and it's the hardest thing to predict. So durability is a legitimate concern with him, and it's just got to be acknowledged, right? He's 6'4", 210 pounds,
skinny,
slim guy, right? He's a skinny guy, and missing time with 3 separate injuries already is kind of the red flag that we're looking at. So an offensive situation right now, it isn't drastically better over there either. I mean, you got David Block coming in as OC. He's taken kind of from some of that Ben Johnson offense as well. The offensive line is kind of unchanged. You got Terry McLaurin coming back from his own injury alone. And even though
Debo's out, right? I mean,
Debo's out. Yep. So you bring a guy like Antonio Williams. I know Brandon Ayuk is slurping to get over there. Who knows what happens with there?
I think the latest is he might have burned that bridge.
It sounds that way.
He was talking smack about
Jayden Daniels. It was weird. Yeah, hide about your mama or something. Dude, what is this, 1990? We talk about moms? What's going on around here?
Let's get off moms because I just got off yours.
100%. So when I look at Jayden Daniels, to see where he slipped after this year, right? From 1 overall, slipping around. You have the emergence of guys this year of Caleb Williams, potentially, Jackson Dart. Mm-hmm. Trevor Lawrence could take a big step forward as well. And then going back again to this 27 class, that is going to be very deep and talented at quarterback. And we all know that the upside of potentially getting these these high top 10 draft picks at quarterback.
How many quarterbacks do you think go in the first round of the NFL draft next year?
I'm guessing 5.
About 4 or 5, right?
I'm guessing 5 minimum. It all depends if some of them go back because they want to be the number 1 overall pick. But you look at you look at some of these guys I can't remember all the men's, what is his name, out of Miami, Mark Mannon, Sellers, Moore, potentially Julian Sand, Oklahoma State kid. There's another looking at it because again I'm gonna wait till I get in that deep. But talking with Garrett and all my guys, there's 7 potentially now as it stands first round quarterbacks. Somebody's gonna emerge.
Is the guy from Oklahoma in that Mater or whatever?
Yeah, that's one of those guys. But I'm thinking at least 4 to 3 of those guys go top 10 in the NFL draft, which is what I'm really
that's the sweet spot for Dynasty.
Into. Then you have a couple of guys going the teens. So regardless, some of these guys are going the right situation where they're gonna be enamored, right? You're gonna be enamored with, and that's going to change the dynamic of the quarterbacks overall. Some of these middling guys, I mean, obviously you can take a big step forward, a guy like Jordan Love, who's young and talented, right? Some of these guys are getting older and kind of take a step back where you're going to be okay, even though Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes, these rookies are going to start emerging. Where they go 1-2 Archman and Dante Moore along those lines, or if Lenore Sellers has a big year with his rushing upside.
I mean, that's the thing. If a guy comes in and has got rushing upside, and all of a sudden you're staring at an older guy, like you said, Pat Mahomes or somebody like that, who's who's a hell of a player and true Hall of Famer, but maybe not the difference maker he used to be when he had some rushing kind of added to his profile. That's when you have to start thinking about one of these younger guys, and that's when the guys start tumbling down kind of the rankings.
Yeah, like who can take a step forward between Trevor Lawrence took a big step forward last year, can he maintain? Can Bo Nix take a step forward? Can Jordan Love take a step forward? You still got Fernando Mendoza there as your younger guys. Can Cam Ward take a step forward? But then the top, you don't expect a lot of change. You never know. But Josh Allen, Drake May, Caleb Williams. Then for our rank set, it comes in Jayden Daniels. Behind him, you got Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Pat Mahomes, Jackson Dart, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. Then you had all these rookies. A
lot of good guys in that list.
It can get funky with a guy like Jayden Daniels. Again, if you're worried about a concern with his injury history. Now, I believe in arm talent enough where I still think he'll be a relevant quarterback for a while.
I agree. I agree. He's got a very good deep ball. He can really work all levels of the field. So yeah, I think he's got a very good arm. He's got good stuff.
But where you drafted him, where you traded for him, his ADP overall, you're looking at a top 12 guy that could all of a sudden turn into a round potential 4 guy.
Right. That's the thing. That's the thing. Is he a good enough arm that it offsets a loss of rushing if that starts to dwindle? And I'm not sure he's there. I don't know that he's that complete yet. I think, when you see a guy like Lamar, who is now what year is he? 8? Yeah, something crazy like that. We've seen him evolve from a guy that was almost exclusively a runner and just kind of passed when he needed to a guy that can actually kind of function as an NFL quarterback now. So while Jayden Daniels came in with a much better throwing ability than Lamar, it's interesting to kind of look to see what that would look like if the rushing fell off quicker. You know what I mean? Than a Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar's a special Hall of Fame kind of player. So, But again, another player that I'm somewhat worried about, overall value. And I kind of look at it that way. We're okay, these guys are my roster that I like. If you view your team as a legit contender with these guys on here, and that's cornerstone players can kind of go sideways.
Yeah. No one wants to see it, but it's going to happen to these players eventually. Obviously, a guy like Jayden Daniels in his second year, it's tricky. Kind of speaking of those guys like this, but this is the NFL, man. You know what I mean? They'll chew you out and spit you out, you up and spit you out.
We saw it happen with Robert Griffin Jr.
Right.
Absolutely. Dynamic rookie year, shoots up the boards, and then never to be pretty much used again.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you hate to see that happen to any player.
All right, so let's move on. Speaking of second-year players, that we'll see if they can kind of emerge. My second guy is Jack Bech. So obviously he was a guy that another second-round pick. This guy was a little bit later, I think 26th pick in the second round. And the thing about him is obviously there's not much competition there at the wide receiver position. So this feels like to me the season where if he doesn't figure it out and kind of become the player that not even this coaching staff, the previous coaching staff envisioned when they draft him in the second round, they're not gonna mess around, right? They just drafted a number 1 overall pick quarterback in Fernando Mendoza, and obviously Brock Bowers is there as the number 1 target in this offense, but they still need more production out of these wide receivers than they got last year. So Jack Bech has a golden opportunity here to prove that he is part of the plans long-term for this new coaching staff. And, for me, it doesn't come around often where a second-year guy has this much kind of turnover and then an opportunity to kind of reprove himself. But here it is. I feel like this is the season for him. Last year did not go well. 20 receptions, 224 yards, and 0 touchdowns. But there's not a whole lot of production out of any of these other guys. When you're throwing around names like Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor, and Dante Thornton Jr. as the other guys in this wide receiver core, Jack Bech really does have a big time opportunity here to prove that he's able to do this. I like the guy's tape coming out. I know he's a little bit of an old prospect, so he's about 23.5 going into his second season here. So hopefully that kind of suits him well, and he's able to pick up this new offense and hit the ground running. But we'll see, man. Like, what do you see for a guy like Jack?
I mean, he
Bech?
fell into we talked about him not too long ago about maybe one of our favorite buys because of his current ADP, like a dynasty, like great value kind of for cheap because
he's in the 200. He's 226 right now.
And we talked about like he has
round.
draft pedigree and opportunity. Like it's weird that you see a player like already like that. Like we talk about like Marv just being a really bad situation all around. Like Jack Bech is in a great situation, right? All he has in front of him essentially really is. He's
in a great situation this year. Last year was not a great situation.
Yeah, correct.
His rookie year was bad.
But I'm talking about like just not any number one receiver ahead of him at all. Like he has a clear path to establish himself. He's got draft pedigree. He's got tight end as his number one option. They bring an established veteran quarterback in Kirk Cousins who could throw the football. And anytime he goes down, you bring in a really accurate quarterback like Fernando Mendoza. So they're like, I love the value of Jack Bech this year, but I love where you're coming from too. Like you're right. Like if he doesn't establish him this year,
they're just going to go out and draft a guy.
They're going to draft a guy and then probably sign a guy in free agency too. Right. And then, or like draft a guy and then trade for T Higgins, right? Along those lines or something.
They're going to get their number one quarterback, a guy.
They're probably going to get his number one and number two. Maybe we can pull the Browns maneuver where they get the guy with the first two. Like, they're going to fill that void significantly when they know Mendoza's coming in for the full year in 2027. And they're going to figure that out. And then we hope that Jack Bech could be a part of that plan. And from the tape, it tells me that he can. A good hands player, a savvy route runner as well that can get some separation.
Yep. Good physical blocker.
Big physical receiver. Yep. So to me, like I love the value of Jack Bech, and he doesn't fall within that rookie threshold of the 500 yards. And he did nothing on tape last year, which is somewhat concerning. I know the situation's bad. Right. But you're still talking about a team playing from a negative game script, right?
I think
pushing the ball downfield.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Pete Carroll that offense was not even that offense. He doesn't have a tendency to bring along rookies quickly. Right?
And he was playing for his job already. Like he was trying to get the wins, trying to play the veterans.
I mean, look at a guy like JSN who was with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
in his rookie,
right.
He didn't do much of anything either.
That's a very good point. I didn't even think about that as well. So I love it. I actually don't think he's going to fall off. I think it's an opportunity kind of like the one thing that could worry me is like he comes in, he has like 900 receiving yards, going back to the Marv thing, right? Sure. Like he does establish himself as a number one weapon, but the offense still isn't overly great, doesn't do anything great. And then like, he holds some value. I would still be hesitant on Jack Bech because like I still think that doesn't stop them from going out and like here's a better way. If Jack Bech has 1,200 receiving yards and the Raiders have top 10 pick, which I think they will.
Sure.
They obviously don't need a quarterback, but now they're in position to get Keon Coleman, Jeremiah Smith. Like I still think they grab that guy. Now you look at his team that has like Keon Coleman or Jeremiah Smith, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, and Jack Bech. Yep. So like, they need to get themselves back a little bit out of that top 10. Because I don't think there's a lot to even – I don't think there's anything to stop the Raiders from still going receiver next year with their first overall pick. We'll see. They might need an offensive lineman there. Defensive player could slip to him. That's number one too. Like, but I think he's one of the most intriguing players for Dynasty this year that nobody's talking about except for, I think, like us. Because this is the second time we've mentioned him now.
Sure.
But I'm intrigued by him because I like the player. I like the tape. We like this tape when he's coming out.
Absolutely.
And then he got a draft pedigree. We're like, ooh, Jack Bech, great situation.
Didn't turn out that way last year.
Didn't turn out that well.
Right.
So, all right, before going, I got to move on. I got to tell you about our friends over at myffpc.com. It's July. This is startup season here, July, and as it runs into August. They have all kinds of startups and contests going over at myffpc.com. They got the Big Gorilla, those contests where you can win $1 million.
What?
And then the big thing is just startups, right? Like we're all looking for quality dynasty leagues. It's a difference between just like joining a random league and, making sure your money's safe and make sure the league's going to last. MyFFPC doesn't give you that opportunity, right? Find a league that you could trust. And that goes a long way. We see these leagues where people just dip out. You got to find a new owner. They got to give them a discount because the team's so bad because got traded all his picks away, or the league just folds because
the worst thing that happens is if a league folds and you got all this stuff invested, maybe in the future or something like that, and all of a sudden, poof, it's gone.
Yeah. So my FFPC is going to offer you that, like a secure startup with any price point you want. And I think that's another thing we don't talk about as well. What we actually do talk about, but like sometimes, like, dude, everybody's financial situations are different, right? Like $100 league to one person is not the same to $100 league to another person. We're like, that dude's in a $2,000 league. Oh my God. But like, hey, dude, like my career, it's gone well. Like I want to play. Like me win $1,000 isn't as nice as winning $8,000, right? Like that's
everyone. That's just money right there.
So I'm trying to win a vacation for my family. So that's what my FFPC offers. Check them out at myffpc.com. Make sure you use the promo code NERDS. They're going to give you $25 off of any league that you join. Promo code NERDS. Get that cash. Check them out today, myffpc.com. My next guy on the list here is another guy we kind of talk about that I've believed in. It's Brian Thomas Jr. I think he's in a big-time decision here for his ADP because he's already slipped. You know, when you look at his rookie year, again, 87 catches, 1,282 yards, 10 touchdowns, 8th most receiving yards by a rookie. Ooh. Comes in and dominates. Top 5 wide receiver. Comes in the following year, 48 receptions, 707 yards, 2 touchdowns on 91 targets across 14 games. Falling from wide receiver 5 territory to wide receiver 28 to 32. So when you look at 2025 and went wrong, it was just marred by drops, right? He had 8, tied for the 3rd most. They had rough chemistry with this quarterback.
Is it wrist injury?
He had a wrist injury, yeah. which is I always go back to that. That's why I believe in him. Yeah. But he still had a 53% catch rate, 70th among 78 qualified receiver. His average depth of target ballooned to 14.5 yards. He was being used as a deep ball only weapon rather than a featured alpha. The drop rate doubled. The red zone target rate collapsed. He's battling now with Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers. You got Travis Hunter there. They just extended Brenton Strange. So the targets are now pretty spread out. Yep. So when you look at the positives, multiple people on Jaguars coaches have said that, hey, Thomas has been night and day this offseason in 2025, going into 2026. And Lawrence acknowledged himself that the chemistry has taken a huge step forward. So I still believe in Brian Thomas Jr. I like the ADP. I like the trade value. I think a lot of people that have Brian Thomas Jr. are hesitant to give up because they also believe as well. But again, another player kind of in that limbo where we're looking for a couple of these guys out of that class to take that step forward and establish themselves as the new young wide receivers to own, right? Because right now it's like, out of the young guys, it's really just Puka and JSN. Then it comes into like a Jamar Chase, who's a little bit older, but still young.
26, right?
Yeah, 26. But like, getting up there. Where Justin Jefferson's going to enter the 28 year. Garrett Wilson's a little bit there, but not valued as high. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is an interesting dynasty asset right now where like he's obtainable. And I always go back to like, does he qualify as what's an overpay today is an underpay tomorrow? Like, is now the
time if you believe in him for sure.
Yeah. And I do believe in that rookie year chemistry. And I kind of I'm thinking like, dude, everything's going against him with the drops, the Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, which Parker Washington's going to be out after this year. Travis Hunter. Like, I really think this might be the best buy window on Brian Thomas Jr. Because I think even if it goes to Middleton, I think there's a good chance that they would just move on from him, find a trade target. Obviously don't pick up his option, and he could find success elsewhere. Yeah. So for me, as a prove-it year kind of player, and I do think he does reestablish himself, he's slid into that one of those, like, he's not a cheap buy, but a player I might want to go attack.
Yeah, the weird thing about, I think, Brian Thomas, aside from the fact that he had such a down year last year, is always going to be this Travis Hunter kind of conundrum that everyone's in, right? No one really knows how to view Travis Hunter, but he's a piece that's in the puzzle that makes up the Jaguars offense that if you're a Brian Thomas owner, you have to deal with that piece. You know what I mean? You can't ignore that piece. And every person in every single league is going to view that differently because there's no clear-cut vision of what he's going to be. Is he just going to be playing defense like they said this year and kind of sprinkled in on offense? Are they blowing smoke up our butts and dude's going to be on offense as much as he was prior to his injury? No one knows. Like, we could talk about this till we're blue in the face, and we don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, no one knows. So that's what makes nailing down, I think, all the other pieces in the offense, nailing down their value from the pass catching standpoint is just really difficult because we don't know what to expect from a target share. For how is this thing getting dispersed out? I have my inkling. I think Travis Hunter is going to get dialed back because that's what makes sense because they have a plethora of wide receivers. They don't need him. He's more valuable on the defense side of the ball. So to me, that's what's going to happen. I think Travis Hunter is probably going to get sprinkled in kind of sparingly and used as a specialty type of guy. So that leaves more on the table for a guy like Brian Thomas, which I think is good.
And you go around like the worry about target share. Like I think Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington are good NFL receivers.
Yeah.
I think they're good.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of good NFL receivers.
Sure.
I think Brian Thomas has the potential to be an alpha receiver.
I think he's the best wide receiver on that roster.
Yeah. And the draft pedigree to prove it. Right. So you're right. Like I think it's easy to be worried about that. Like the whole, like where do all these targets kind of work themselves out to be? And I think that's where the value comes in for me though.
Yeah.
Because like, again, I believe, and like as crazy as it is, I almost believe in Brian Thomas Jr. more than I believe in Marvin Harrison Jr.
I don't think that's crazy. You've seen it out of Brian Thomas Jr.
Exactly.
So, I think it's for me, seeing is believing. I mean, obviously when they both came out, it was that was flipped. But since they've hit the NFL, Brian Thomas Jr. is the guy that's hit the ground running.
Would you be, if you had, say you had Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Would you rather just hold on and hope for the best because of the tape and the pedigree? Or is this like, because I'm trying to think of like, if you want Brian Thomas Jr., obviously he's not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
Would you offer Marv straight up?
Straight up, I would consider. If somebody was like, I
just want to flip the script.
Yeah. If somebody was like, I need Marvin Harrison and a first, I'd be like,
no,
go
definitely
pound,
not.
Go pound salt, dude. No way.
I'm talking straight up. Because I don't think, outside of giving him Keon Coleman, like, I don't think... There's not, you know what I mean? Like that's what I'd throw on top.
How dare you?
Like I don't even know if I'd throw Jack Bech on top. You know what I mean? That's my point. Like I'd throw in like a Keon Coleman. I'd throw in like maybe a Tyrone Tracy at the most.
Okay.
But even then, I don't want to do that. Even like let's call it straight up. Like, would you flip Brian Thomas? Because I think the mix right now, we're looking at guys that established themselves. We're looking at Brian Thomas. We're looking at Marv. We're looking at like Ladd McConkey.
Sure.
Right. Those are the guys. I mean. You might as well. I guess you could throw Malik and Roman here too. Honestly, these are guys that got to establish. Like the whole class. Like who's stepping up?
It has been a weird class because they really came out with a lot of potential and and some of them popped and then fizzled and you know what I mean. And some of them that should have popped didn't. They
changed the ADP landscape. They're all darlings going top like 3 rounds, and now like they're all guys that can potentially like. Dude, Malik could slip back, right? Rome could easily slip back, and then all the guys we're talking about like. Out of all those guys, Rome, Malik, I mean, it's easy to believe in Malik the highest, right?
It's easy. Obviously, but the like, injuries are such a...
Ladd McConkey, like, I'd almost, honestly, I almost believe in Ladd second. Like, I really do. Like, but I think I'd put, like, Brian Thomas, like, up there.
Brian Thomas is for sure up there for me. In my brain, it is Malik, and then it's Brian Thomas. It's probably, dang, where does Ladd kind of fall in there?
I think if I had to draft them today, I would go Malik 1.
Yeah.
I think I would go
Brian Thomas 2.
I'm leaning Brian Thomas 2, Ladd 3, Marv 4, Rome 5.
I would probably...
And I want them all.
I know, that's the thing. You want them all.
I think I would go that way.
There's so much more upside with a guy like Marv than Ladd, though. That's the problem.
Dude.
But...
Ladd's the kind of guy that just wins.
But he'll just catch like 1 million passes.
Exactly. upside easily higher than Marv.
And that's what I'm struggling with.
I feel way safer at Ladd than I do Marv.
Of course you do. You have to. Right. I don't know that I could feel safe though that high. I would probably just go Marv and then Ladd next.
I did the same thing at the start of last year. Like I just draft the guy on just potential.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's so salivating that potential.
Right.
It's really hard to like. I say, oh, hey, like I'll just pass this up. But like, he that's why he's where he is now.
It is. It totally is.
It's gonna be an interesting one. I'm so intrigued of what like when we get to January, which is less than 6 months away.
Sure.
When we get to January, totally fascinated about this. Like, I don't think I've ever been this intrigued or like curious about Dynasty in the 23 years I played it. Of what the ADP is going to look like in about 5.5 months. Like, it's so interesting because there's such a, I know I started to show off. I said a couple times, like, I've never seen the landscape like this before in how, like, uncertain it is. I can't wait to see how it shakes out. I really can't.
Well, I mean, I think
and those 5 guys are like that's the best way to even kind of describe the whole season. Like, just guys that are going to be like not even like disappear.
Sure.
But those 5 guys are like the dynasty landscape right now. Malik Neighbors to Romo Dunze. You're like, oh, that's awesomely maybe to like Rome. That's awesome too, but like, maybe.
I haven't seen it. I don't know what.
And then the middle is like Ladd McConkey. You're like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about him. He's going to do good.
Which is like round 4. You're like, I still like these players, but
right.
like it wasn't round 4 like 3 years ago.
No. It is weird, man. And I guess this is a good exercise because I hadn't really realized how many of those guys from a couple of years back kind of either didn't live up yet and we're waiting on them still, or they did and then they had a really down kind of off year last year for whatever reason. I mean, like I feel like both the guys from LSU it was injury related. They should be fine to bounce back, but there's still a question mark coming into year 3. You know what I mean?
I mean, just look at this like from our rank set, right?
Already succeeding once.
Superflex tight end premium. Let me go to 50, which is round 5, like beginning round 5 of a startup. Like here's our rank set right now. Jordan Tyson, Christian McCaffrey, who's 30, right?
Yeah.
Mekhi Lemon, Brian Thomas, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, AJ Brown, who'll be a 30 next year, Jared Goff, Rashee Rice, T. Higgins, who's going to be 28 in 5 months, Saquon Barkley, who'll be 30, Luther Burden, Cam Ward, Cam Skattebo, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Zay Flower. That's a stop of the 5th round in a startup.
Yep.
That's like all players that you're fine having on there, but you don't go, dude.
Yeah, I got him.
Dude, I got T. Higgins maybe as my wide receiver 1, where sometimes in a super flex, right, where you're drafted, if you go running back, quarterback,
maybe a tight end in there.
Yeah,
throw a tight end in
then
there.
you grab a guy like Tyler Warren. If T. Higgins is your wide receiver 1, how do you feel like you're a championship caliber team?
Right.
How?
You don't at all.
Who's 28 years old? Or are you going to gamble on a guy like Luther Burden who's done nothing? You know what I mean? So like,
yep.
It's almost gross. Garrett and I did a Nerder show on it because we were talking about like a startup. And I'm like, dude, I've never felt this way like in the 4th round of a startup. Gross. Who's your last guy?
All right, last guy. My last guy up is Jayden Reed, 26 years old. He was going off the board as wide receiver 53, so 139th, which I think is understandable. I like
this one.
Yeah, a lot of kind of unknown. Obviously, we've had him in a bunch of different places. After his rookie season, we had some big time hype on him. Right, his rookie year, he finished 25th in PPR with 793 yards and 8 touchdowns. Didn't really follow it up with a big bump or anything in year 2. In 24, he had 857 yards, 6 touchdowns on 55 receptions, good for 29th. And last year, obviously, all the injuries. So he only played in 7 games last year, 19 receptions, 207 yards, and 1 touchdown. And all that with a loaded wide receiver depth chart last year where they kind of ended up clearing a bunch of that stuff out, right? Yeah. Dontavian Wicks. Thank you. I couldn't say that in my brain for whatever reason.
Wicks gone.
Dubs gone. This year they extend Jayden Reed, give him a 3-year deal, and then extend Christian Watson.
Yeah, it was weird because you get like, okay, dude, they extended Jayden Reed. They picked Jayden Reed.
Right.
And then they give Christian Watson more money. You're like, oh, wow, okay.
That's what kind of got me to this point. Like, I'm like, man, they really kind of cleared the deck. I thought this guy was kind of safe. Then I looked at that contract that they gave Jayden Reed, a 3-year contract extension with like $16 million of guarantees.
I think Watson's the same way, to be honest with you.
No, he's $31 million.
Yeah, but still, in today's NFL, that's a 1-year deal. You can get like
it's Watson's 2. Jayden Reed is a legit 1-year deal. They can get out from underneath that. They could do a post June 1st after that and save money on the cap.
So he's literally proven it for everything.
He is. So that's what kind of pushed me over the edge as this is a real prove it year for him because it looks good that he got an extension, but this is like, if you don't do it, man, we can cut your ass next year and just move on. And so we might be, this time next year not even this time, maybe like a month earlier, we're talking about this AJ Brown trades. They gotta wait till June 1st for all the cap reasons to make this move. We might be having that same conversation about Jayden Reed if he doesn't prove it at all this year. So for a guy that Listen, I had high expectations for him, but he hasn't kind of had it work out. And then for them to kind of clear the deck, I know obviously Golden's there, Christian Watson's there, and Jayden Reed. So we have like the top 3 guys locked in a pretty pass-friendly offense here. Mm-hmm. If he proves to not be the guy, Savion Williams sitting right behind him as a guy that could be probably a nice slot option for them. And if that doesn't work out, they're just going to draft another guy.
They're draft another guy,
and he's going to be gone, and his value is going to be absolutely nothing.
I loved what I saw on tape from Jayden Reed his first year. I mean, he did everything fantastic. I thought outside of his hands, where he had some drop issues, which I can get with. It was concerning, but not red flags.
Right. Listen, a lot of these guys that get a bunch of targets and they have a lot of drops. Yeah. If you look at historically, some of the best wide receivers
have the most drops.
Right.
Always. And, Jayden Reed, I love the way that he's kind of like was the poor man's Deebo Samuel, right? Like a dynamic player that can be used all over the place. Yep. You can put him in behind the line of scrimmage. You can use him in the slot. You can use him in the X. You can use him in the Z. Like he's truly like a very versatile player. And his rookie year, they were using him that way, right? They're using him all over the place. He was a real good player to get excited for. I made a lot of trades for Jayden Reed. Like you said, I think week 1, he had a big week 1.
Yep.
That was pretty much it. And I thought, like, yes, here he comes. Mm-hmm. This is how they should be used, Jayden Reed. So you're right. I think he's a proven player where, like, he can establish himself as, like, a solid wide receiver, too, in this market because you have a big year. Same thing. Christian Watson can have a big year, too. He's just a lot older.
What I love is that I feel like the depth chart is finally settled a little bit. It was very much, I felt like every week it was getting juggled around a little bit, right? But now they finally have a nice 3-man rotation with Savion Williams, I think is in the mix, but hey, probably more of a special teams guy at this point unless he develops a little bit more.
Yeah, I like Jayden Reed. I think he's a good gamble. Like, if in redraft leagues, like, he's a guy, like, I would love to gamble on it. It's like in redraft is my wide receiver 4 with that upside there. Because I think he does offer, like, the way he's used and the running back depth on that roster as well. He offers wide receiver 2 upside as being that kind of gadget player. So you're right. He's a guy that can literally fall drastically down ADP,
or he could prove it and be the best wide receiver on this team. That's what like his range is for this season, and that's why I wanted to at least mention him. I don't think I've mentioned, or I don't think we've talked about him much on this show. I don't know if you have on other shows.
I think I know we talked to him a little bit because I do like Jayden Reed as like a sneaky kind of player. Like when I'm looking at these late round where he goes to ADP, like that's the guy I would snag up.
Sure.
So, but right, it can go either way. Yep. So my last guy here is kind of like a prove-it player that nobody wants to call it a prove-it player. And it's a player we love, and I love.
Uh-oh.
It's Cam Skattebo.
Boo-boo.
Which is...
Da boo-boo, come on.
I was just thinking about it because like where his ADP is in overall, like this is a player that I've seen kind of go back to like Marv, where like we love the player, and he actually proved it for a little bit, but like if things don't go right this year, like with the new coach staff, they can move out. There's a lot of good players in next year's draft, right? At running back too. There's like 4 really good running backs that I know of in next year's draft.
And Harbaugh, being Browns fans, we know that dude's going to want to run the ball, and he's going to find a run.
Correct. So when you look at Skattebo, who's only a 4th round pick, came out of nowhere in weeks 2 through 7 as a Giants workhorse. We loved him.
Yeah, but bull crap came out of nowhere.
We love his tape. We have him ranked really high the whole process. So we've been on him since his rookie tape, right? We had him ranked higher than anybody.
Yeah.
And he averaged 19.5 touches, 96.3 yards, and was running back 8 in fantasy points per game in that span.
And at least 1 flip a game.
It was awesome. And he's flipping now. So he's currently going like between that running back 16 and 24 overall, depending on the platform, right?
Yep.
And we said for ADP, like we love him for that ADP. But, the honesty is Skattebo played 8 games as a rookie, 8. Then he had a dislocated ankle, a fractured fibula, and a ruptured deltoid ligament, right? So it was gruesome for him. He's recovering. He says he's going to be ready. He looks like he's ready. I believe him. But he's a physical play style running back, and that's just the way he is.
He's going to have a short shelf life.
It's going to be a short shelf life, and a player that I have a decent amount of shares of, but I would look to as a running back. If he's a decent running back 1, I would love to be able to move him to enter that 27 class. Yep. I really would if he opens the door there. So for me, Where some people go like, hey, he's a Derrick Henry comp, right? But Derrick Henry's 6'2", 252.
There is no Derrick Henry comp.
I mean, for the big running back, yeah, it's night and day. So the Giants have the new coaching staff with John Harbaugh, OC Matt Nagy. You got Jackson Dart there, still trying to find his footing. You got Tyrone Tracy there, who's a solid running back as well.
Solid, but not spectacular.
I do think this is a guy who could be like calling the falls at Marv, like, man, this is a player like what could have been, right? So I do think if he doesn't prove it this year, he could just fall into like the rotation back that we like, kind of like Garrett's got 1,000 of those guys, like the DJ Dallas's, those running backs that you like.
He's got a much higher ceiling than any DJ Dallas, so let's not go there. But
like just a running back, like, can fall like, we like to trade, like even like a Trey Benson kind of in that category, but like,
listen, we love Javonte Williams, and it just didn't look like it was working out. And then he went somewhere else, and it did.
You're right.
So, like...
But he doesn't have the age behind him that really... like. Now, okay,
came in
we talk him in Dynasty, 24 is like old. He could easily be 4 years now, 28, and still be an NFL like
absolutely
viable weapon. So, like, he's older for, Dynasty, but overall NFL standpoints, he's still a great asset. So,
Indeed.
But the problem is he's a running back. He's already had a gruesome injury, and he's in a situation now with a whole new coaching staff that he has to prove himself to.
Yep.
And the biggest thing I think he's got for him is like Jackson Dart loves him. Like they're like this is that photo shoot together. Like that's his best ally right now, and I believe it. Again, it's weird.
I mean, I think his physical attributes might be his best ally. I really do think he's got what it takes.
I 100%. I'm in on him. I'm just saying these are
3 down type of guys.
Just gonna say they're proven players. Like I'm in on everybody talked about. Like I had a couple guys named here like for backups. Like in case we had more time. Like I had like Justin Herbert that we've talked about on here. Bucky Irvin is the only one I don't believe in, who I have on this list as well as somebody who I could potentially talked about. All the guys I talked about, I do believe in, but they are in like, let me see what you got cooking.
One last one that I'm going to throw out there because I think we've beat this Cam thing to a pulp here. CJ Stroud. What about him as a make or break type of guy?
I think he's.
You think he's already broke?
They haven't extended him, so like I think he's in a weird. That's a worse situation to be for an NFL team.
It really is
because it's
this is the Baker Mayfield in Cleveland.
I was gonna say that was Baker Mayfield. Like they were actually able to do something about it. Like you have a quarterback you don't think can win you a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
In the moment you don't think that quarterback can win you a Super Bowl,
then move on.
You cannot pay him, and you have to move on.
And it sucks because your whole team could just get old and fall apart. Like you're operating in windows in the NFL just like you're operating in windows in Dynasty, and you could miss your whole opportunity if that guy you think is the guy on that rookie deal doesn't end up being the guy.
If I was a GM of the Texans, I would prefer, like what I would want to do is try and find a double move where like, okay, there's a team in the teens. Can I get, like, if we don't want to pay him for sure, can I get a first round pick for CJ Stroud?
Can we get a Deshaun Watson re-trade?
There's no way it's going to be that. And then like you trade him for that first, you have your first if you're a middle, you use those, and then you can use those two first. You then move up a little bit and grab one of those top 5 guys that you want and kind of reset that way and just let somebody else pay. Because then your argument is like, we didn't feel confident enough. Like we believed in this quarterback's long-term future. He's going to play on a rookie deal so we can build a team around him. Where for CJ Stroud, because they say all the right things. Like we believe in CJ's future.
Well, they have to keep the value up.
And the back end, you're going, hell no, we don't.
Right.
But you'd be like, okay, because those rookie contracts for quarterbacks are huge. Like that's what I would do if I was the Texans. Because I don't believe in CJ Stroud as a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't. I think he's like an average NFL quarterback, right around there. I think he's fine, serviceable. I don't think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I would love to be able to move him for like a middle first round pick. Use our 2 first round picks. Obviously, it's not going to give you the number 1 overall pick or the 2nd overall pick, but just give me to like pick 9, 8, somewhere in that range where I grab one of the quarterbacks I like and just reset with that guy. Like that's what I would do personally.
Yeah, it's not a bad plan.
I just don't believe he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Like I said, a lot about a lot of players.
He's got a lot at stake this year.
And to be fair,
he could change the whole narrative though.
I didn't think Sam Darnold was a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Right.
I honestly didn't think Jalen Hurts was a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I didn't.
Right.
2 guys have proved me wrong. So, as Kevin Garnett said, anything is possible. We'll be back tomorrow. We're talking 27 and 28 draft picks just for fun because Dynasty Hot Boy Summer. See you then.
Yeah. Adios.
If you have a Dynasty roster that you're trying to figure out what to do with, I have the perfect show for you. It's called Roster Rescue, and it's on our Dynasty Nerds YouTube page. We are live every single Wednesday from noon to about 2 o'clock talking about fantasy football teams that actually exist. And Rich and I break down what we do with these teams. Do we want to rebuild? What kind of trade should we make? Are we going all in? All of those types of things are on the table. And if you want to get your specific team on the show, all you have to do is go to dynastynerds.com, go under the tools tab, and right under there, you're going to find the roster rescue button. It's under our premium services. You click that, and you can have your own roster discussed by Rich and I live on the air. Remember, that's live on the air every single Wednesday at noon.